I apologize, and if you have questions that you want to have answered by Colonel Magnus, I'm sure that we can gather them up and get them to you and get a response back. Mr. Thompson,
hey,
please.
Good afternoon, President Sanders, directors, Colonel Magnus. Thank you very much for your presentation here today, Colonel. I'm director of the Cambria Chamber of Commerce, and I just want you to know that the business community strongly supports the desal effort here. Tourism is a major driver of the economy on the Central Coast, and having a stable source of water is critical to that industry. And so we look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mary Webb, followed by Mahala Burton, and we're getting short on time. Let me say, too, as Mary Webb is coming up to the podium, that we have some written comments from her, and we will make them a part of the record.
Okay, thank you very much, President Sanders and directors. Welcome, Colonel Magnus, and thank you very much for your service. I'm also from a military family. My father was an Air Force major, and my nephew just graduated from Annapolis and will be serving in Afghanistan coming next year. So one thing I would comment about that when you talk about our current project, and that is that it would be, to compare this desalination project to something that happened in 1992 would be like fighting in Afghanistan and using your game plan from Kuwait. So things are very different than they were back then. Environmental laws have changed, a lot of things have changed, and so we really need to get up to speed with what's currently happening. My comments right now are just to talk about one of the mitigations for desal in our area is called growth management. It's to mitigate the growth-inducing effects of desalination in our area. If and when a desal plant is ever built in our area, it is critical that the growth-inducing effects of turning on an endless stream of desalted ocean water must first and foremost be mitigated by limiting how much water will be produced and what total effects it will have on population growth in our area. Build-out reduction is required mitigation for the growth-inducing impacts of the CCSD Water Master Plan, EIR. The CCSD is required by environmental permitting agencies and the law to comply with California Environmental Quality Act in its water planning and to consider the growth-inducing effects of water projects and implement feasible mitigations to reduce significant environmental impacts caused by this growth. Although not publicly announced or discussed in a public setting, the few of our CCSD directors and the general manager are in discussions with San Simeon Community Services District regarding the transfer of water from Cambria to San Simeon for future growth in San Simeon. This is a huge issue that affects Cambrians. It violates the intent and spirit of our build-out reduction program and Measure P. And I'll talk a little bit about Measure P. Why, I have questions for the directors that they can read themselves, that why hasn't this issue ever been brought to the public, has never been discussed in a public setting, and that citizens have a right to know what the directors are planning.
Ms. Webb, we will address that issue today at the conclusion of the Colonel's
Thank you.
time here.
Selling, transferring, or giving water produced in Cambria to areas outside of Cambria is in opposition to the past and present Build-Out Reduction Citizen Committee's work. The BRP says, number one, is to limit wastewater water services to lots within current CCSD boundaries. We passed a measure called Measure P in 2006 that reads that the Board of Directors shall not authorize the extension of water service except non-potable water for agricultural and irrigation purposes for outside of the district boundaries, and as the boundaries exist at the enactment of this ordinance. In any case, the question was whether the majority of Cambria, should a majority vote of Cambria be required to allow service to be sent outside our area. Cambrians voted in favor of Measure P by a whopping 78%. Cambrians continue to be denied the right to vote on desalination. We have never had a vote on desalination. They had a survey, but not an actual vote. We overwhelmingly support limiting future growth caused by the addition of any additional water supply, as was shown by this vote in favor of Measure P. The desalination plant has been designed for 4650 residential connections, so there is not supposed to be excess capacity available. If there is no excess capacity available in the proposed desalination plant, where is the water coming from to go to San Simeon? Letters are on file from many organizations. I've listed them all in my letter.
Okay. Again, Ms. Webb, we will address the issue that you're raising. Do you have a question of the Colonel? Because
I guess I just wanted to
running
make
out of time.
for the public record what was happening in our area so that he knows that I think trying to have geotech permits and planning in place by March of 2010
we
is
will
really
provide
out
him
of...
a copy of your letter. Thank you.
Okay.
Colonel, we're about out of time.
Yeah, and I would just respond by, you know, I respect that input. Certainly,